So, good evening to all of you. The Sustainability Standard Boards welcome all for today's 39th Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam webinar series. Today is a special day. Today is marked as National Sports Day. The day marks the birth anniversary of the legendary Major Dhyan Chand, who is widely regarded as the greatest field hockey player of all time. And with this, we have seen that today's topic, and we are very privileged to have Mr. Mukund Shivakumar, who is sports scientist and head coach of junior cricket Melbourne. From Melbourne, he is joining on the topic of holistic well-being and sustainability, thinking beyond. Before we start the session, let us start with an auspicious note with our institute's anthem.
Mritam gamaya asatu ma sadgamaya tamasu ma jyotirgamaya mrityurmamritam gamaya asatu ma sadgamaya तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्युर्मामृतं गमय.
Now, I will request CMA Dr. Aditi Dasgupta, who is Joint Director of the Institute and a contributor to our Sukhino Bhavantu and our SSB activities, to just welcome our speaker for today with small introduction and give his welcome speech also. Over to you, Aditi.
Thank you so much, sir. As the world navigates unprecedented environmental, social, and economic challenges, the concepts of well-being and sustainability must be approached with a holistic lens. True well-being extends beyond physical health or mental comfort. It embraces mental, emotional, social, and environmental harmony, recognizing the interconnectedness of all aspects of life. Similarly, sustainability is not just about conserving resources or reducing carbon footprints. It is about creating systems that nurture communities, ecosystems, and societies for the long term. Thinking beyond the conventional approaches calls for redefining progress, measuring success in terms of collective flourishing, and aligning our actions with principles that benefit both people and the planet. For fostering holistic well-being alongside sustainable practices, we move closer to a vision where individuals, communities, and the environment thrive together, reflecting the essence of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, that is, the world as one family. Today, on this day of 29th August 2025, we welcome you all for the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam series with the topic holistic well-being and sustainability, thinking beyond. It is our great pleasure and of course a matter of pride to have Mr. Mukund Sivakumar, a sports scientist, strength and conditioning coach, and a cricketer coach, junior team, Melbourne, who will be addressing the topic. Briefly to introduce Sir, he is a dedicated sports scientist and strength and conditioning coach with extensive experience across cricket, soccer, AFL, and community sport. Sir holds a Bachelor of Exercise and Sports Science from Deakin University with a concentration in strength and conditioning and high performance in sport. He brings hands-on expertise in athlete development, performance monitoring, injury prevention, and return to play systems. Key expertise of Sir, if we want to give in a snapshot, it would be like, sir, is a sports science and data, the GPS load monitoring, heart rate analysis, VLD testing, his strength and conditioning, that is athletic development program, injury prevention, return to play. His coaching and leadership includes head as of the junior cricket programs, women's soccer SNC, AFL sports science, and as athlete development, he brings into the designing and implementing training plans, bio, biochemical feedback, and performance testing. Sir is the head of junior cricket and SHC coach, the Yulton Parkville Cricket Club, and he is the strength and conditioning coach of Athletes Authority, a GPS data analyst, Geelong Cats AFL Men's, SNC coach, the Brunswick Zebras Women's Soccer, and a cricket coach of Docklands and Sean Brown's cricket coaching. Sir's cricket background, in brief, Sir has been the former player with Muthoot Cricket Academy, Kochi, India, and represented Ernakulam District Cricket Association in under 14 and under 16 zonal championships. Kudos to you, sir. Athlete at Just Cricket Academy, Bangalore, India, trained alongside IPL and international players, developing a strong base in strength and conditioning. He's competed and captained Swanton's Cricket Club, Kochi, India, across under 15 and under 18 and the senior categories. He has also experience as coach, umpire, and mentor in junior cricket development programs in India. Talking about his educational background, Sir is a Bachelor of Exercise and Sports Science, Deakin University, Strength and Conditioning, High Performance in Sport. The certifications Sir achieved is 11-month Strength and Conditioning Coach, ASCA, Cricket Australia, Community Coach and Umpire certifications, CPR and First Aid Level 1, Working with Children Check, VIC. Such personal interests are on cricket, A-grade player, gym training, hiking, motorcycling, surfing, improve comedy. Now the list is still on, but it is our, as I have already said, that it is our great pleasure to have you with us, sir. I'm sure that your different perspective of with this extensive experience in athlete development, performance optimization, and youth coaching, you would be able to bring a unique blend of scientific insight and practical expertise to nurturing the young talent. His approach emphasizes not just skill and fitness, but also the mental resilience, teamwork, and holistic growth, reflecting the principles of sustainable development in sports. We welcome you, sir. The stage is all yours.
Thank you so much for that. Really appreciate it. That was a very long introduction. I don't know if that was needed, but anyways, here we are. So this is not, you guys are not my usual crowd that I usually talk to. As you can see, I'm from a very athletic and cricketing background. So I was born and brought up in India to start off with, and I moved here to pursue my undergraduate degree, and I've finished it, and I'm working in that space now. So now I was contacted upon to do this presentation, and here I am. So today we'll be talking a bit about holistic well-being from a sports science perspective. So from my background on what we can apply into your daily lives and improving your daily life, your health, and how we can add more physical activity, as well as I talk a little bit about nutrition and sleep and some other things that we might not really touch on a day-to-day basis. So again, it's a bit of a background about me. So my specialization is in sports science, specifically with strength and conditioning. So strength and conditioning is that part of what we do in the gym. Like pretty much everyone goes to the gym, but with athletes, we train them a bit differently in the gym. They don't need to really put on loads of muscle. For them, it's just about becoming stronger and staying injury free. So making the programs is very different. It's not like how, people that we see daily, like they'll go to the gym and be like, I want to get bigger, no, I want to lose weight. So it's a very different field when we talk about strength and conditioning, but there is a lot of similarities and a lot of things that we can take from that to apply to our daily lives. So, and currently, as with my cricketing experience, I work with a cricket club over here. I look after the junior program, looking after the kids especially, and helping them improve their strength and conditioning as well as their cricketing skills and all the other stuff as we've already talked about. I don't think I needed to say it again. Same thing goes for cricket. So I have a bit of a, that's been my side hobby for a long time. Grew up playing cricket in India, played for it for a long time, tried to go professional, couldn't make it. As every Indian kid has, the big dream of playing for India. I was also one of those kids. So if that's one thing that many of us can relate to one another over here. So the reason why this topic is very important, as especially nowadays, if we look at the state of the world, the way that work is going, a lot of us are confined to our spaces. We are in the offices for long hours, or we might be working from home, depending upon your occupation, and especially the like pretty much a large majority of people, especially since the impact of COVID, it has changed a lot. So that's why this is the topic that we picked to talk about. And as per WHO, if you look at the slide over here, it's not just physical well-being. It's not just about the absence of
Sir,
disease. It's also,
sir, your
yes.
slides are not moving, sir. Slides. I
Can
think your
you,
share option is not. Can you share it again, sir?
1 second. Can you see it now? Is it visible?
Yeah, yeah. Now it is coming, sir.
Okay, sorry. All right, I'll just skip through. So yeah, this is the first slide. Sorry about that. So to start with, as I was talking about, the World Health Organization defines that health is not just a complete state of physical, mental, and social well-being. It's not just the absence of a disease. It's also about the fact that we can improve our health as well as how we can thrive and become better. And as a lot of us do a lot of work that requires us to sit down for prolonged periods, that is what we call sedentary behavior. So sedentary behavior is anything that doesn't require any physical motion. So pretty much sitting, sleeping, sitting on your couch, watching TV, or relaxing on the beach, this is all classified as sedentary behavior, as well as digital dependency. So the more that we are using our phones, we are on our laptops and all these things, this is also sedentary behavior, and we just sitting down, and these are things that pose a significant health concern going towards the future. And physical activity, as a definition of the opposite of what sedentary behavior is, physical activity is anything that requires you to get up and move. Pretty much anything that expends a calorie from your body. You get up and move, getting up to get a coffee, walking outside, even taking a shower. Pretty much anything that requires movement is physical activity. And then physical activity can be divided into 3 different categories, which I'll get on to it later. But looking at this part, office workers on average already spend about 8 to 10 hours a day sitting. That is a big cohort. That's like 80%. That's a 80% of the day almost, pretty much. And this research has shown that the more that we sit, the more that we are at risk of getting disorders and diseases, especially cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, obesity, and musculoskeletal disorders. So it's important that we get up and move, and we need to figure out a way that we can do that. So coming from a sports science background, I've tried to come up with an evidence-based framework that we can apply to people who work in offices, who work from home, or who somewhat predominantly live a sedentary lifestyle. Even if you're someone who goes to the gym, or who tracks his sleep, or who's someone who tracks the type of things that you eat, your diet as well, there's always something that you can learn and apply and improve, because research in this space is ever going. Every new decade, we are uncovering new things, new technology in the space of health development is coming. So we are finding out new things about the human body, as well as we are learning, and we are learning on how to implement it in our own lives. So let's move forward. So holistic well-being, there's 5 dimensions. So it is encompassing physical, there's mental, there's social, occupational, and spiritual domain. So it's not just about getting up and moving. We are adding other things as well. Combining the whole thing is your mental health, as well as your social relationship, your relationship that you have with your families, your friends, with your co-workers, as well as your occupational, what do you do for your occupation as well as your spiritual beliefs as well. So these are all very interdependent. We might always think of things as being very just independent, but they're not. They're like a big bowl of soup. They're all mixed together. So each one connects to the other. So it is important that we balance all of this, and imbalance in one of these areas often leads to influence in the others, and problems arise in our daily life in some way or the other. So physical well-being again relates to activity, economics, sleep, and posture. Mental health involves resilience, focus, and stress management. Obviously, working for long hours, we are prone to a lot of stress. So it's important that how we can mitigate and manage that stress as well. Social well-being again emphasizes relationships and belonging. It's very important, I think, when I work with athletes also, I see this thing that we want to feel a sense of belonging. We are human beings. We came from being in tribes together from ages ago, from centuries ago. So we always have that feeling or need of wanting to be with people, or feel like we belong to something greater, or we're trying to do something greater. So that is also important thing. Like you're trying to how do I put it into easy words? It's like like we are working together in office with people. There's a sense of connection there. So that is something also that is very important, and that should not just be like, oh, that's just my work colleague and that's something else. It's like you got to take that more into fruition and try to focus on those relationships as well. And there's a lot of research that's surrounding these things if you go into it deeper, but I've just put a bit of an outline over there, that positive emotion, engagement, relationships, meaning, and accomplishment as they're the psychological foundations of human flourishing. Now, the major challenges that we face in office work or in the corporate world mainly is the sedentary behavior. Like I talked about earlier, is that there are office workers are the greatest risk, or if you work from home as well, very big risk, because you're sitting about 6 to 8 hours a day, and it increases chance of premature mortality. So now here I'll throw in a bunch of big words, and I'll use a bunch of percentages, but day-to-day life, a lot of these things won't matter that much. It's hard. It's just that when I'm putting a presentation together, I use a lot more of these to present you data in an easy way to understand. So increasing mortality chances by 34%, as well as contributes to cardiovascular diseases. And that's what research has just shown throughout the years, but there are many ways to mitigate it. So we'll get onto that later on. Another common thing that's very commonly observed is the musculoskeletal disorders. It's very widespread. Like when people who work in offices, when they get to the age of 50, 60, or even later towards retirement, that's when these start to pop up even more, because maybe sometimes having to go to work and exercising with your friends from the office or your colleagues, they still kept you active, but your majority of the time was spent sitting down. So there's still some of these things that can be improved. And especially with typing, your neck, so you're looking at a laptop, or you're looking at your desk, or you're writing something, your neck's not in a very good posture. And this is not what our human body was naturally designed for. So that is one of the risks. That's how people end up getting neck pain, back pain, and those sort of things later on. Another thing that's also very common is stress and burnout, especially sitting down and doing the same thing over and over again. And research has shown that at least 77% of employees or people who work in the office space experience burnout at least once in their lifetime. And now with modern day technology, with the modern day use of the fact that we have screens, it's not just the laptop that we are working on a daily basis. We also have a phone that we use as well outside of that. So it's like once you finish work, you're coming home, you're still getting onto your phone or you're watching TV. These are new forms of fatigue that's new to our brain, and these can also cause cognitive overload. So it's overloading your brain with too much information, and this can have a physical effect as well. Along with that use of technology and screens, the less that we are meeting with people in physical interactions, it's leading to more isolation and a weaker workplace culture overall. So this is like the sort of the modern day challenges that we have in the office, or like if you're working from home, especially ever since the event of COVID. I haven't really touched a lot about what has happened before, what was it like before COVID, or how it has changed, but there's definitely been a big change in like the health industry or the physical health industry. So sports science, what we can do for your physical health, it's like disciplines align closely with the key office health challenges that we talked about before. So we have different parts. So if you look at biomechanics, so biomechanics over here, we'll talk about the posture, how you sit, the chairs, how much walking you do, and there's very intricate details on like all those things and how they affect your health, as well as even how short breaks can help counteract sedentary risks. So one of the new research, what research has shown is that a new thing that has come into says using standing desks. That's a big thing, especially in Australia over here. We see that people they love using a standing desk, going from back to sitting on a chair and using like that. Standing up is your body's natural posture. So standing up and doing any sort of office work or using at your laptop puts your neck in a natural position. You're not really hunched over like this. Your shoulders are not hunched over. You're not stressing out your back muscles that much. So if we can try and integrate that into our own lives, trying and standing up more, getting the blood flowing up from the brain all the way down to the feet in a healthy manner, as well as standing up. And you can mitigate that. You can do periods where you just sit down and work, or you can do periods where you just stand up and work. As uncomfortable as it might be, a lot of us might not be used to the idea of standing up and working, or studying, or whatever you do. You're used to doing it sitting down, but standing up is like the easiest and the most simplest way that you can get a little bit of activity, because standing up, you're actually expending calories through your body. Your legs, your muscles of your legs needs to work in order to stand up. Whereas sitting down is like your legs are very relaxed. Anything down from the waist is very relaxed. There's no any sort of activity going on, and that is why it is sedentary sitting, or sitting activities are not the most ideal. So moving on, like sports psychology is something that's very prevalent. If you look at athletes, if you look at the Indian cricket team, nowadays they talk a lot about motivation, resilience, and every international team almost has a sports psychologist with them to talk about these things and navigate the pressures of like playing sport. But I think that this thing also applies to our daily life, as much as we feel like we're not doing anything that's very stressful, or we're not playing sport at a very high level. We all have challenges in our day-to-day life, and we need to have ideas or ways in which we can tackle those. And some of those techniques are like visualization. I think if you're someone who has done meditation, or if you're been in the yoga space, or if you've done something like that, you'd be familiar with the concept of visualization. It's like you visualizing yourself, closing your eyes, meditating, as well as thinking about yourself and future situations going well. It's positive visualization. It's like telling your brain that I am doing this, I have done this already. So in case in your real life you're put into scenarios where you do that, your brain's has already seen it subconsciously. When you're sleeping, when you're meditating, that's a good time to add visualization into the context. Another thing, self-talk. I think we all do talk to ourselves already. Um, Positive self-talk, and there's also research that's shown. There's very interesting research. It's like they did this research with tennis players, the best of the best, and they looked at the difference of what makes the elite, like the Roger Federers, the Nadals, and separate from like the ones that are ranked way below them. And was one of the biggest things was like the positive self-talk. Like if they miss a shot or if they miss a serve, it's like, it's all right. I'm going to get the next one. I'll do the next one. Or if I got a good point, great shot. I did well. You did well. It's that positive self-reaffirmation that you tell yourself that I'm doing good. I'm having a good time. It is very important. Rather, what happens with the lower ranked players was that they had more negative self-talk. It's like, if you did something, if they had a shot go wrong, or if they served the wrong way, they're like, why did I do this? What's going on? Is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with my technique? So these are things that happen in a sporting context, but I think this also happens in our daily life. Let's say you spill a glass of water. The most common thing, the first instinct for most people is to be like, why did this have to happen at this time of the day? Instead of doing those common behaviors, it's like slowly switching it up. It's like, it happened, so what? It happens. Or I can do something else a bit better. Or if you have stressful meetings, maybe sometimes things didn't go well, it's still very important to be very positive to yourself. It's not good as an overall to have a negative outlook. So that's one of the big things when you're looking at things mentally and psychologically. As well as mindfulness. Mindfulness is pretty much being in the present situation as much as we can, especially when you're working in an indoor space or working from home. Sometimes it's easy to get caught up when you're relaxed. Your mind starts ruminating about old things or starts being anxious about the future. So mindfulness is pretty much about trying to stay in the present as much, and meditation, visualization, and all these tools are an easy way to become as mindful as possible. That is, I am here right now and I'm doing this presentation. So that's me being mindful. I'm not thinking about anything else that happened to me the day before, what happened to me this morning. So trying to stay in the present as much as possible is one of the best things that you can do, and you'll be much happier moving through our daily life. Yes, sure, bad things happen, but when bad things happen, we'll deal with it then and there, not right now. So that should sort of be the mindset, and that's sort of what we do with athletes as well. So like the last sentence talking about office workers can be understood as everyday athletes that require strategies to maintain peak health and peak performance. So think of yourselves as well, no matter what age, we are all, every human, like imagine Earth, the daily life that we live, that is our sport. And we are athletes who play the sport of life. So we're trying to get as good as we can, trying to get good performance. So instead of just mitigating ourselves down and saying it's just work, I'm just doing this and that, no, you can still look at yourselves from a high perspective, and it helps, because then you'll start taking yourself more seriously, you'll start take care of your health more seriously, and things will start improving. So physical well-being, evidence and practices. So the recommendation is that the World Health Organization recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity physical activity. Sitting more than 8 hours daily increases mortality risk. So of course, what more physical activity is, like I said, just getting up and moving. So they can start with just walking. So that was what we would call as light physical activity. That is very light. You're getting up to do anything is pretty much classified as light. Moderate is where we start jogging. Let's say people who go jogging or people who go on very fast and brisk walks. That's something that's very common in India. People love going for a jog or a very brisk walk. So that would still be in the zone of between light to moderate. And that means you have to accumulate more hours and more minutes of it during the week in order for it to meet the standards. So that's why it's 150 minutes. Now the moderate intensity physical activity is like going to the gym and having a decent workout, something that's not too hard, but something that's not too easy, something that just gets the blood flowing. So that's classified as moderate. But the more moderate activities that you do, the more hours that you have to do it in order to meet the requirements. Whereas something that most people usually wouldn't do is 75 minutes of vigorous activity. People might have 10 or 15 minutes of their moderate intensity activity turning into like 15 minutes of vigorous. I'm a bit more tired. I ran a little bit more than usual, and that might become vigorous. But what research suggests is that you need to try and consciously do more vigorous activity. So it's like sprinting. So you're jogging or you're going on a brisk walk, or turn that little parts of it into a sprint. or you're going to the gym, you're working on your upper body or you're working on your lower body, maybe reconfigure the workout a little bit. Make it like I have to do this in 4 minutes, or I have to do this in 3 minutes, or I only take 30-second break in between. Pretty much anything that puts your heart on a bit of a stress and strain pull, because your heart needs that. Your heart needs to pump blood and needs to learn to pump blood very hard and very fast as well. It should not be in a very stagnant state, because our hearts are full of hearts are muscles as well, and they need to be used as well. So if anything that we can do that can in your daily life that can get you guys to start doing more vigorous activity will be very, very helpful. Another way of making this work is like taking micro breaks every now and then. Whenever you do get up from your chair, just going around walking or doing a lunch break, going out for a walk outside or sprinting. If you look at like in the Western workplace, like especially like places over here like Australia, the infrastructure is very easy. It's easy and it's built like there's a cycle, there's a gym in a lot of offices, or people live in apartments that has a gym downstairs, or the walking tracks, and everything is very well built, which makes it very easy for a lot of people to go and do that, and their breaks are structured like that. But it depends upon, again, where we are and what is available to us, and it changes from every little corner of the world. So that's something that is up to each and every single individual to think of, like what they can do for themselves to try and get them doing more physical activity during the day, and add it up during the week to see if you do meet those requirements of doing 150 or 75. But honestly, anything that's already better than what you already do is good enough. And some of the like core and hip strengthening exercise. So some of the main things that happen when we sit in a chair for a long time is that our core muscles, that are muscles in our stomach, like in the front of our stomach, they are not active at all. So they're very weak. We're just relaxing on the chair with our back, as well as our hips. Our hips are not being used, like as well as much of our lower body is not being used. Our hips are very shortened because we're sitting down. Our bodies, imagine of our body like a straight. And then when we sit, we are curling up those muscles. So we're curled up. And then when we start getting up and trying to do something very intensive is when all those muscles in our hip and core act up, because they're not being stretched. They're being folded the whole day, and suddenly they want to be stretched, and they're like, no, I don't want to be stretched. I've been so curled up and folded up the whole day. I don't want to do anything. That's how people, when you go running or when you go to the gym, suddenly you get a cramp. These are some of the most common areas, like the core and the hip. So it is very important that we target that, and we'll come on to that in a later slide. A simple in-office routine or in your daily day, if you're finding yourself sitting for a prolonged period, just to get up from your chair and do like 10 push-ups or something, like 20 squats or 30-second plank every 2 hours. So something that literally only takes or requires 2 minutes or 1 minute of your time to get active, and it won't even leave your heart pumping at the end. So you can get back and go back to doing your work or doing whatever you were carrying on before, or get into a meeting afterwards. It just requires you to do something very simple: 10 push-ups, 20 squats, or 30-second plank. So 10 push-ups on the floor, or 20 squats bending down, or a 30-second plank that's holding your body up in the air. That'll help improve circulation, posture, as well as energy levels. So we'll just get the blood pumping, and that means, like I said, the muscles are not folded the whole day. That means it's continuously moving. It's not just moving in the morning and then moving in the evening. It's also moving a little bit during office hours or during work hours as well. So that's an easy routine to implement. Another thing is mental well-being, as we talked about earlier. Now I'm going to dive in a little bit more deeper into that. So chronic stress leads to cortisol. So cortisol is a hormone in our body that's very linked with stress. So whenever it's released by one of the glands. So like whenever we get into very situations where it's like you got to run, you got to, like a dog is chasing you, for example. It's the easiest example I can say. A dog is chasing you. Cortisol and adrenaline is released. That's what makes our heart beat harder and pump it harder, and we want to run. Our body's like, something's chasing us, we got to get out there and we got to run. But what happens is that on a day-to-day basis, when stress builds up, like mental stress or like emotional stress builds up, it can also lead to having more cortisol in your system, and having cortisol leads to a lot of diseases over a long run. So that's what research has shown. So what psychology talks about is how we can reduce cortisol in your system, and that is by doing mindfulness, meditation, visualization, having positive reaffirmative thoughts to you about yourself, as well as breathing exercises as well. Another important thing with breathing is like a lot of people think breathing is just breathing in, breathing out, just with your stomach. But there's a lot more depth that goes into breathing technique. And if you're someone who's done yoga, you'll probably know a lot more about it. It's like breathing with your diaphragms and things like that. So those things are also very good to regulate heart rate, blood pressure, as well as something that you do when you meditate, which will also impact your physical health. And another important thing, I don't know how many people know about this, is like it's very common in like the athletic world, is the concept of flow. It is a state of deep focus and engagement. So it's like if you've ever done something that's just made you get lost, like you're doing some work or you're riding a bicycle or you're playing a sport. You're like, for me, it is like if I'm batting, if I'm playing cricket, if I'm batting in the middle and in the moment, all I see is the ball and the bat, and my body just works automatically. I don't even know what's going on, but my body just knows, or my brain just knows what to do. So that is called the concept of flow. Or if you've seen like the F1 drivers, the race car drivers, they're driving at very quick speeds. They don't really have time to think and make a decision. Their bodies are in a constant state of flow. The brain is just sticked on and they just know what to do and what needs to be done. And most of our brains are like that. And sometimes we can only tap into it by playing sports, but we can tap into it in daily lives as well. And that's where things like being in the present and acknowledging what you are doing and where you are is very important, which helps us get into a state of flow much easier. So it can be very different for very different people. For some people, you might play sport and you might feel it. It's not something that's very easy to describe. There's a whole book about the concept of flow. But for me, it might be when I go surfing, or when sometimes for people, it can be when they're driving as well. Because I feel like when you're driving, you're in the moment, you're on the road, that's all you're thinking about. For some people, driving is probably not the best idea. For them, it's driving is when you're in traffic and you're thinking about a lot of things. So it depends on person to person. It might be playing sport, it might be doing your normal work, it might be when you're doing yoga, but find something in your daily life where you engage in flow, where you are in flow, you just in the moment, as pure as possible. And it is linked to 5 times higher productivity, because being in flow, after you've been in a period of flow, research shows that you get a dopamine release. So dopamine is the hormone of motivation, pretty much, that's released by our brain. So being in flow, you get a release of endorphins and dopamine, which makes you become more motivated to do more things, get more things done, as well as get more relaxed and happy as well. So that's something that we use in the athletic world that I think can be applied to daily life as well. So moving on, another thing, the screens. So screens have become a big part of all of our lives, whether we like it or not. So screen time, blue light, and mental fatigue. So with using screens and blue lights, so blue light is pretty much all of our screens emit a type of light. It's blue light, and our eyes, our retinas are not ideally designed for receiving such light. And it puts a lot of strain on us. And I think most phones and most screens nowadays come with a setting where you can reduce blue light and mental fatigue, blue light, by just clicking the switch, and it reduces the blue light. It takes a bit of the color away from the screen, if anything. It's there on a lot of social media apps as well. You can take off the blue light, and I really recommend doing that because it does make a big difference. Because staring at a normal screen for on and on and on for hours leads to headache, eye strains, and reduced concentration. So using that is one way, or another way to do it is getting blue light glasses, blue light filtering glasses. So some people, regardless, screens are a big part of their life, and sometimes you don't have the choice, but you have to stare at the screen for a while. So you can buy these glasses. They're pretty easily available anywhere on Amazon. If you search it up, you'll find them, blue light glasses. They're just normal glasses. They look pretty much the same, but they just filter the blue light that comes through the screens. And that itself can make a big difference, because what blue light does is plain blue light exposure suppresses melatonin. So melatonin is that hormone, the substance in your body that makes the brain releases, that makes you want to go to sleep. So that is why normally you recommend not using screens like the 1 hour before you go to sleep, or not looking at your phone in your bed, because that reduces the release of melatonin, because to your brain it's like daylight. Blue light is like daylight. It's like what the sun gives. So you're up and awake. So you won't feel like going to sleep. So that is why looking at phones before going to bed obviously is a bad idea, but as well as trying to reduce the amount of blue light that you look at in your daily life. Another practical strategy that you can apply is like the 20-20 rule. So it's like looking, if you've been staring at a screen for a while, looking 20 feet away, or just distracting yourself, just look away for a minute, just to give your eyes a break. So giving your eyes a break is a very good idea. So there's many different ways you can do it. I've just talked about one idea here, but there's heaps of different ways. There's so many different ones. Find one that works for you and that thing you think works for you best. So use blue light filters or glasses in the evening, as well as limit screen time exposure that 1 hour before you go to bed. So the less that you can use your phone before you go to bed, the better. Okay, so coming into social and occupational well-being. So in the sports world, it's like team dynamics in sports is very important. Emphasize clear roles, trust, and shared goals, which improve cohesion and performance. And these directly translate into the workplace. So I think pretty much everyone already knows about this stuff, like human resources. This is what they do. It's like ensuring that the workplace functions well. Everyone has good relationships with each other. And I don't think I really need to talk a lot more on this slide, but I do want to add that this does really impact our physical health, like relationships that we have in our workplace, whether they're positive or if they're negative, or if they're strenuous, or if there's a lot of tension going on. It's important that we resolve those and we are sort of at peace with ourselves and with each other, so that we can get our work done better, as well as be more at peace and be more happy as we go through our daily businesses. Moving on to the next slide. So nutrition and recovery. So a lot of our diets involve a lot of caffeine. Even mine, I drink a lot of coffee as well. So there's research that shows that if you try not to drink coffee within the first 40 minutes of waking up, so try not to depend upon caffeine for the first 30 to 40 minutes that you wake up, have the coffee right after the 30-40 minutes, then you depend on your own brain's will to wake up and get work done. So if you use coffee after that, that is actually better, because if you consume coffee right after you wake up, it's sort of like a shock to your brain. It's like here's all this caffeine, just take it and use it. And how caffeine works is like when melatonin. So melatonin is the hormone that makes you want to sleep. They'll attach to neurons in your brain. So what caffeine does, it comes and makes like a cap around the neuron. It makes a cap, preventing from the melatonin becoming attached to the neuron and wanting you to fall asleep. So that's how coffee works. So early in the morning, if you do that with caffeine, it's not a good idea, because you're going to get the crash. You're going to crash. You're going to feel really sleepy around 12, 1, around that time. That's why we might feel like we want to take a nap if you have a coffee very early in the morning. So try and limit or just delay that time period of when you're having that coffee as much as you can, even though it might be a big habit for all of us to have a coffee right as soon as we get up early in the morning. Another thing is prioritize your sleep. Athletes prioritize their sleep a big much. It's like 7 to 9 hours. They probably sleep even more. As we all know, the importance of sleep. Reduced sleep deprivation reduces cognitive performance, increases mistakes, elevates stress, and strategic napping can also improve. So that's where like naps can come in handy. I very definitely recommend naps if that's possible for people to implement in their lives. So if you do have a habit of napping, it's a very good thing. I wouldn't say it's not. And if anyone tells you that it's not, no, they're wrong. Napping is very good, because sometimes we don't get enough REM sleep. We don't get enough deep sleep during the time that we are in our bed or a normal day, because it might have been stressful. And that's the sleep that your brain really needs, the deep sleep. So if you can nap and just close your eyes for some during the day, during your break or something, that is very helpful, and it improves performance as well. So if you look at some of the top athletes, I can't remember a name right off the tip of my tongue, but there are some very good athletes who look to have a nap right before they go out and perform, like a 3 minute. There's a nice little zone. I can't really talk about the exact minute or the duration. It's called power naps. I think a lot of people already know about power naps. So that power naps are very good and they improve performance afterwards and improve alertness. You're not that sleepy anymore. You might need less sleep during the night as well, which might help you save some more time. So yeah, research, there's plenty of research around this as well. It's essential for athletes as well as much as it is for workers. As much as we don't think we are physically moving, we don't feel like we are physically tired, it is very important for our brains. So again, it's another thing about sleep, just reassuring. So sleep is essential. Try and get 7 to 9 hours if you can. Some people function on much lesser. Their brains work differently. Everyone's brains work differently. Some people can go to sleep, and if they get up in the middle of the night, they can't go back to sleep. Some, they sleep blissfully the whole time. So see how your body works. The most important thing about all these things like that I'm talking about right now is all these things are very intuitive and how they work for you. That is very important. If see what you're used to sleeping, how many hours you're used to sleeping, or how you're used to working out, and how that can be improved for yourself. So try and stick to a consistent sleep schedule so your circadian rhythms are not, up and down. One day you're going to bed at midnight, or one day you're going to bed at 10 p.m. That doesn't really help the brain understand what's going on. Your brain doesn't know. Your brain's like, what's happening? One day you're sleeping at this time, one day I'm sleeping at this time. When am I going to have my deep sleep? So if you try and keep a regular schedule, that'll be the most best thing that you can do. So another thing about talking about coffee, not having coffee in the first 30 minutes of waking up. Another thing is try not to have coffee or caffeine after 2 p.m. Having caffeine after 2 p.m. Again, as you know, that's around the time your body starts to release melatonin slowly and you start to get fatigue and you want to sleep by the time it hits night. But if you have caffeine, then again, the receptors get blocked and don't feel sleepy. That's how caffeine works. So try and reduce caffeine after 2 p.m. as much as you can. Magnesium rich foods such as nuts, seeds, leafy greens, and there's many things that have magnesium. You can also get magnesium supplements. Magnesium is very good because it lets you sleep better. It helps you sleep better. It's not like a sleep hormone. It's more of something that's your body needs to sleep well. And if you don't get in your food, try and get supplements. There's heaps of them out there, but I would suggest try and get them in your food as much as you can. Magnesium rich foods, they do a heap of good. You'll sleep much better, deeper as well. Another thing is sleep hygiene. There's a lot of things that have been talked about with sleep in regards to like having a cool room. So the ideal sleep temperature has been shown to be 18 degrees. So if you can try and keep your room at 18 degrees Celsius, that's the most ideal. Obviously, that's not possible all the time, but that's when your body sleeps the best. Dark room, no lights, have no any sort of light coming in. That's the best. Your brain knows that it's night and it sleeps well. All these things are sort of about tricking your brain. Because your brain is like an old cave animal. They're not that as smart as we think. The brain is not as smart. We are like the outer conscious is smart, but the subconscious, all these things that control our inner rhythms, like when we go to sleep, when you go to use the bathroom, all these things are very innate in us. So it's trying to trick the innate system into having a better system, and so that our outer cells feel good. Again, as well as no screens before bed too. So we'll move on to the next thing. When we talk about such things such as sleep, there's a lot of wearables and wellness gadgets out there. I don't know if how many people have heard of the brand Whoop. So Whoop is like a watch that you can wear. It's just got an LED on it, and it doesn't have a screen or anything. It's purely specifically for sleep stage monitoring. So it's like an Apple Watch pretty much. Anyone who has an Apple Watch already knows how all these things work. It's like REM sleep. That's the sleep that you want. That's when you dream the most, and that's the most restorative sleep. Deep sleep, it's also restorative, but it's not as good as REM. And light sleep is obviously light stuff that usually happens when you first go to bed. So REM sleep happens usually towards the later end of sleep, towards the 6, 7, 8 hours mark, or right about before you're getting up. Deep sleep sort of happens in between, and light sleep's the stuff that you get at the start. So try and work out in your own sleep schedule when you get the most REM sleep or the deep sleep, and try and capitalize on that, because that's the type of sleep you want. If you are struggling, you're not finding enough time to sleep, just don't worry about the light sleep. It's not about the light sleep. Try and get the deep sleep during the night and nap during the day, where you can fill some of that light sleep up. They've also got these gadgets are really good. There's a lot more science that goes into behind it. Resting heart rate when you sleep is very important because that's when our heart starts beating the slowest when you sleep. So if you look at top athletes, their resting heart rates are about they'll go as low as 30. They'll go as below as 30 beats per minute. So the lower your resting heart rate is when you sleep, the better it is going to be. And heart rate variability is how much your heart rate changes when you sleep. So let's say most of the time it's 40, but suddenly there's a spike, it goes to 50, 60, then it comes down. So you don't want that variability when you sleep. So these things are very hard to track by ourselves. So that's why we can rely on these gadgets. So the less that your heart rate varies throughout the time that you sleep, the better it is. And it also shows like how your body is aging as well. If you're going through a very stressful period, you're probably going to have a higher HRV because of all the things that happen in your subconscious when you sleep and stuff. Your heart rate is going to be impacted by that. So athletes use a lot of this, but I think we can apply to daily life as well. Everyone, it's Whoops and Aura rings. Aura rings are the rings that you can wear, and Whoops are like watches that you can wear around your wrist. So I pretty much already sort of covered that. So just higher HRV, so the better HRV that you have, it's a HRV score. So the better HRV you have, better recovery and adaptability, and resting heart rate signals fatigue. The more higher your resting heart rate is, the more you're going to be fatigued and the more you're going to be stressed. Or when you have a fever, our hearts are always pumping. So that's pretty much an easy indication of how much resting heart rate is very important. This is important for people who work in very stressful environments where there's a lot of stuff going on. You have to make a lot of decisions. It's good to track this and look at your own data over periods to see how you're going. So nutrition for sleep performance. We talked about magnesium, omega-3s, cod liver oil, and all like the good fatty food. That's important. Vitamin D if you can get. Another big thing that I sort of discovered only when I came is that as we Indians, we have darker skin. So the darker skin that we have has more melanin in it. That means it's more melanin in your skin. That means it absorbs lesser vitamin D. So if you look at the research, it shows that a lot of Asian countries in general, the darker Asian communities have a lot of vitamin D deficiency because it's not because we don't step out into the sun enough. It's that our skin struggles to absorb vitamin D from the sun. Whereas people in Western countries with lighter skin complexions, even if they spend a little bit of time out of the sun, they're getting sunburned or they become red. It's like their skin absorbs vitamin D very quickly. So try and get your vitamin D levels checked because it is it is linked to overall health. Vitamin D is one of those big vitamins that you really need, and it's also related to cancer as well. The lesser vitamin D you have, the more chances of getting cancer diseases are as well, like when you look at it from a long-term perspective. So try and get some vitamin D for yourself, and you might need to take supplements as well, and that's fine because vitamin D is very important. So we look at the more ergonomics and environmental interventions that you can do in your workspace to get your setup much better. Is that keeping your monitors at eye level? I'm not doing a good job of that right now. I'm also crouching down, but if you can raise them up a little bit more instead of crouching our necks down all the time, raising them up, elbows at 90 degrees. But although I understand that it's very easy and it's very comfortable to rest them by your side, but getting a chair that where you can rest your elbows a bit higher is probably better because your hands are heavy. They're heavy bones in your arms, and the more that you crouch, you put your arms beside your side, your bones are being pulled downwards there, and your shoulder muscles all the way from the back of your neck all the way to here are also being just pulled and stretched. So right now they're being stretched too much, and they sometimes want to be relaxed as well. So that's why it's good having the armchair with an armrest. Noise management and spatial design enable both focused work and collaboration. Yeah, let's try and making your workspace more collaborative and making your workspace in a way that requires you to get up and walk and go and do something. It is very effective. It'll make you, those tiny changes will get you that much more physical activity if it works. You know, you can just, your coffee machine is placed over there, you have to get up and go there to get coffee. That itself is a physical activity. You might go stand there, you might do something else for a little bit. So that's enough to distract yourself from screens, as well as get you from sitting at your chair and move on to doing something else as well. So many companies, as we know, like it's all over social media, Google, Deloitte, Apple, they all do these big things about how they can increase wellness driven office spaces. They do all these fancy things, but let's try and see how much we can do that ourselves without relying on other people, how much we can make our own little days where we get up and do things, just build those tiny little habits. So holistic well-being and sustainability. So employee health directly influences organizational outcomes, as we all know, and there's research on that as well. And if you are able to implement well-being programs in your small offices or in your companies or wherever you work, or for yourself as well, it is known to increase productivity by 10 to 15%, as well as reduce absenteeism by 25%, increase retention, and the more that people want to stay, because there's a part about that you're caring for their health as well, and you're caring for your health as well, which is very good. Will motivate people to stay more. Healthy employees are more engaged, less likely to leave, contribute to long-term corporate sustainability. As we've talked about, just repeating the same things in a different way. So practical recommendations in this aspect can include encouraging that 150 minutes. So if anything, that couple of things that I want you to take out of your head from this presentation is a big thing is that 150 minutes. So try and get that 150 minutes of moderate physical activity, or try and get that 75 minutes of vigorous activity where your heart's beating as fast as it can. So that's one big thing I want you to take out of, because if there's a number that we're trying to meet, try and get that. It doesn't matter if you go to the gym and get that 150 minutes, or if it doesn't matter if you go run and get that 150 minutes, doesn't matter if you cycle and get that 150 minutes. Just get that 150 minutes, or get that 75 minutes of very hard intensity workout somehow. You don't have to always go to the gym. You don't have to go and always run. You don't have to go and always do this one thing or that one thing. It can be done in many different ways. Another thing is try and make your own adjustments in your workplace as much as you can to try and get yourself in the right posture, as well as if you can move through in your office time, that'll be really good. Support peer and group activities. So playing team sports is a great idea to get your physical activity in, because sports involves a lot of light, moderate, as well as vigorous activity. And sometimes when you're playing for a team, or you're playing badminton or some of your hobby sports, you might not even know that you're doing vigorous activity. Just easy way to go and do it than trying and getting yourself to go for a hard run, which makes it much harder. And try and play as much as team sports as well as if you can, and doing with a group of people gets that social side of it ticked off, as well as that emotional engagement of talking to people and all those things ticked off as well. And if you're eating, try and eat those healthy foods. I think we all know that stuff already. Try and eat healthy, good foods as much as we can, and try and develop policies for active commuting and wellness budgets. So if you do live very close to work, depending upon how things are, like over here, Australia, a lot of the places are structured with a lot of people love cycling to work. There's not that much traffic here, so definitely makes it easy to drive cycles to work. But that is something that happens in this culture. That's their style of trying to be active, is like just riding a bicycle to work, or riding a bicycle as a hobby. And that's like a very big thing, whereas it can be different for different cultures and different countries and different people. So try and see what you can do where you can get about and moving when you're going to work, or after you come back from work, or in whichever way. So future directions. The future of workplace lies in the integration of all of this, like the technology, like the screen time, the mental side of things, the physical health, and all those things, and as well as being able to get real-time feedback. And that's where those wearable devices come in handy, because they're really helpful. I can't iterate enough of how good they are. They are a little bit of money, but I would definitely believe that they're worth the investment in the long run. As you start to get older, they're definitely worth it. Now, as with AI, there's so many apps and stuff as well that helps you keep a track of exercise and nutrition plans. So if you're finding it hard you don't want to get a trainer, if you don't know where to start, that's an easy place to start, using AI apps. They'll track your diet. They'll give you some exercise programs and plans that you can easily start off and start going somewhere with, as well as trying using programs in your office and talking about these sort of things, doing mini meetings every now and then to see how everyone is going, and to see if their physical and mental health is in a good space. So to conclude, holistic well-being integrates physical, mental, social, occupational, and spiritual health. In the modern office, these dimensions dimensions are interlinked and they cannot be addressed in isolation. So they need to be, all of them needs to be sort of ticked off. I have not just talked about physical stuff here. I've talked a lot about sleep and the mental and the social side of things as well. So try and get everything covered. Try to get everything covered. The more you try and cover, the more you're gonna get all those boxes ticked, and the more you can be at peace in your work, in your life, at your home, pretty much. And if you look at sports science, and if you're very interested and you want to get into the deeper side of things, if you look read books about sports science, things like the flow state and like the sleep and the resting heart rate and stuff for sports, they can also be applied to daily life, and they can also help improve your life. And if you look at yourself like an athlete, you'll start taking care of yourself more, and you'll start taking care of others as well better. Employers must view well-being not as optional, but it's a strategic investment, because our health is our well-being at the end of the day. So the more healthier we are, the more we can go to work, the more we can put out, and the more we can do well in the long run. So I'm going to conclude at that pretty much. If anyone has any questions, please feel to ask me, because we've got some time for Q&A.
Yes, sir. I think you have presented very well. I think it was a very thought-provoking session. A few questions from our side. People are writing in the chat box, but still from the SSB. Sir, first question is muscle memory. Sir, you have
Yes.
built in your speech also that we should have certain things, we should move our body, we should go away from the sedentary lifestyle. But can you please explain how can we improve our muscle memory so that we can respond better and our instincts and reflexes are better, considering the situation which we are presently working from home, or as we have said that
Yes.
long desk work we are doing, sedentary life.
Yeah. So with
Yes.
the muscle memory, like the biggest thing is like muscle memory is often seen in people who play a lot of sport. Cricketers, batsmen. If you look at Sachin, his on drive is like a muscle. It's muscle memory. He doesn't even need to think about it. His muscle does it. It's not just the muscle remembering the stuff. It's more about your brain. It's so embedded in your brain that it's automatically happens. And I think with people, with us, like when we do a lot of office work and stuff, we don't have those sort of motions apart from maybe typing. That has become a muscle memory for a lot of people very easily. Apart from that, there's not many other muscle memory type things going on. So that's where I would really recommend, if you can try and play some sport, and especially there's another book on this as well. It's about playing racket sports. So playing racket sports, apparently any sport that involves a bat and a ball is known to improve your mortality, is known to improve your add years to your life, pretty much just because it's a muscle memory motion and you're doing it again, and it's apparently very good for your brain. I don't know the exact reason why behind it, but if you can try and play some racket sport, that's what I would say best. Cricket, badminton, table tennis, something like that, something that involves doing something repeatedly again and again. That's the best way you can get muscle memory, because it's very hard to do that in daily life.
Right, sir. Sir, you have spoken that the physical part and mental part both has to be in sync so that we can have a holistic and a comprehensive proper life. Sir, right brain, left brain, as we know, creative and also regular instinctive. Our instincts play more than our logical brain. So how we can have a better instinct through physical exercises? Can you give us any small tips how to improve our logical brain,
Yeah,
cognitive skills? Yeah.
cognitive skills. So I think with our brains, the thing is that we have to always be constantly be challenged. So the more that we are at comfort with doing a certain skill, doing a certain thing, like first time when you're studying for your exams, or the first time you're trying to learn a sport, is when our brain is most engaged, that our neurons are firing the most, because we don't know what's going on. You're trying to figure out, and your brain's trying to figure out, and that's very good for cognition. So if you're thinking about the logical side of things, is try and give your brains new things to do. Like try and do new things, try and see new things, do new things, experience new things. That's a very whole perspective. I'm not just talking about physically, I'm talking about mentally as well. Try and engage yourself in new experiences as much as you can if you want to get that side of the cognition going. So it's called novelty. Novelty is like seeing new things, doing new things, and experiencing new stuff. It opens a different side of your brain, different parts of your brain that you really didn't know were working before, and that gives you aspects into like different side, and it all connects, and you're able to do something better. For example, in my case, I can say I do comedy as a hobby. I do something very physical as a job, and I do other things that require in the gym. Probably a lot of thinking going on. It's a lot of motion going on. But when I do something like comedy, it's very creative. It's something that requires me to use different parts of my brain, and that helps me then end up using those skills in work and become better at talking to people, being more humorous or being more charismatic or those things. So try and engage in those hobbies. Try and pick your hobbies and see which works best, and try and tick one is your cognitive hobby, one is your physical hobby. So if you can try and do that, that's a very easy way to try and uh, get more thinking going, get smarter. So pretty much my big word is novelty. Try and do new things.
Right, sir. Sir, emotional intelligence, as you have spoken in your speech also, that we should have a very cohesive work atmosphere, and our mental health is most important than our physical health. Both should be in line. Then only we can have a proper lifestyle. Like we have more screen time now. We are always, as you told in your speech also, that once we go back to our home, we start using our mobiles. So this digital pollution is creeping us. We are always means having gadgets in our hands or by our sides. We are not having a proper sleep. So how you feel that our entire holistic life can be bettered through maybe simple exercises like having a good sleep, like 8 hours sleep? Do you feel is necessary? We are not having that. No medicines are required. Maximum people have sleep is the best medicine. So your thoughts on that, sir?
Yeah, that is definitely like because this whole the medical industry with the whole supplement industry, they're trying to get us to take more supplements, take more protein, take more this, take more that. This is going to help you with this. This is going to help you with that. We really need to, as an individual, try and research on what is actually because if it's not just about going and googling something, because some of it's facts and some of it's not. So try and find research about, like I talked about vitamin D. That is an actual thing. That is a big thing, and we all need vitamin D, and a lot of us are low on it. So try and get that in your system. Sleep is a very big thing. Yeah, it's easy. You don't need external things to fix it. You can fix it yourself. So if you can first intrinsically get those lifestyle factors together, that's sort of a big change. And definitely, like you don't need to really rely on outside external things that much. It's when we struggle to fix our internal things that when we need external supplements and devices and things to replace that. Like when we take protein powders, I'm not saying protein powder is bad, it's very good, but like in a non-concept, when you're taking protein powder, like kids athletes will come up to me and they'll say, oh, I don't need to eat chicken, I don't need to eat a little bit of meat because I'm getting that protein needs met through protein. So that's when it's bad. You need to have your daily life filled out, and if you can't really do it at all, that's when you need external things. So try and do as much as you can within your own body and by yourself.
Right, sir. Sir, since our this board is sustainability standards board, we are doing this. So how do you feel that environment and this planet, how can we balance with our physical activities so that it's a better place to live and work and cohabit with others?
Yes, yes, definitely with the way the environment is going, it's not going into a good place. But I think as a large scale, there's a less, there's not much that we can do, unfortunately, but I do think that we can make tiny impacts if you tie it to physical activity. Let's say commuting to work. So if you're not going to use your car, that's going to prevent pollution, that's better for the environment, and that's better for you, and that's better overall. So try and make those tiny little changes, but it depends upon people. It depends upon where you live. It depends upon what infrastructure you have. So a lot of these are uncontrollable. So try and focus on the controllables, on what you can to better the environment and forget about the uncontrollables is what I would say, because a lot of things are not in your control a lot of the times, especially when it comes to things like environment. You can eat healthy, you can use your car less, or you can do things like that, but then there's certain things that's outside. Don't worry about that. Do those things that you can do it well.
Right, sir. Sir, another aspect I feel, sir, you may highlight the spiritual aspect. We think a good body, good mind, everything good also needs something extra, that is spirituality. How do you feel a person can make a difference in that?
Yes, it's like that core belief of us as humans is like for a lot of us is that we want to be a part of something bigger. We don't want to just be working for ourselves or working for just two, three things. We want to be a part of something bigger and we aspire into something bigger. And that's where I think spirituality comes into play. And doesn't matter if it's religion, spirituality can be in many different ways. It might be with connecting with yourself on a higher level. It can be many different things, but I think, yeah, that is a very different. I don't think I talked about it that much in this presentation, but that's something that is very important, that we find a way to tap into it because we can be fulfilled more spiritually speaking.
Right. Sir, now we are hearing too much about lifestyle disease, especially in Indian context. Like, in spite of having maybe an active life, people are suffering, like you have told in your presentation also. Some tips how to avoid those things, so that I know, sir, you will recommend more physical exercise, uh, more movement of the body, but it is not possible, sir. In an urban setup, you can understand the things are such. You have to use public transport. You have to use stairs, means lift, not stairs, and then you have to sit in the desk. Otherwise, you cannot work. So
Yes.
these are the challenges which we are having. So how to cope up with it, sir? Like 150 minutes, it is impossible for many persons, many
Yes,
professionals. Yeah.
professionals. So I would say like 150 minutes is hard. That's where the idea of like doing 75 minutes of something very hard comes in. So if you set, but everything, all of this requires setting apart time for this, doing this. So if it's something that you can't add in on your way to work, that means you have to find time outside of it, like getting up earlier to do this stuff, or having that session or gym session or running session right after work. So if you can do it in a home setup, that's probably the best. If you struggling with infrastructure and things like that, trying to get a workout in at home is like the easiest, the quickest, and the best way. And it doesn't have to be with weights. A lot of people think physical activity is about going to the gym. It is not. It's just about getting up and getting your heart moving. So it can be done at the home. That's what I'm saying. Things like push-ups, running. If you can get a small treadmill into the home, if you have some space, if you are willing to put aside some money to do something like that, that itself is enough. So we are just talking about basic health here. We're not trying to get you to become like Virat Kohli and be the yo-yo test. Just need to get you to do some sort of moving.
Right, sir. Sir, you come from Australia. That is a very uh, place where sports is maybe a lifestyle. People are very much active. But still, we find skin cancer in Australia, and especially people are exposed to sunlight. As you told, vitamin D is a requirement for each and every individual. So, your thoughts on that, sir?
So the reason why the base, I didn't know this when before I came here. Only when I came here, it's like whenever I play cricket with people, everyone's wearing so much sunscreen. It's like they're fully white on white, and I'm like, I'm not gonna, like, why should I wear sunscreen? Growing up in India, I'm not wearing sunscreen. The thing is, apparently, the ozone layer on top of Australia is this. It's got holes in it because the ozone layers become thinner and thinner as they go closer to the pole. As Australia is very close to the South Pole, it's got a lot of holes in it, and that's why the UV rays leak through. Whereas like closer to the equator where India is, it is very thick and is very good, and that's why there's lesser rates of skin cancer. And that's why, especially people of our skin, we have more melanin that protects us, but people of lighter complexion, they don't have melanin, and that doesn't protect them. And that's why skin cancer is such a huge thing. People go and do mole checks very regularly over here. That is the reason why.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I think you have answered a lot of questions, and we have more than 150 live audience, and we thank each and every individual, those who have joined for today's session, which was very much useful for our lifestyle, our future. And the video will be uploaded in our YouTube channel. And sir, we thank wholeheartedly that you have taken time out. I think you are ahead now. It's I think nearing to 10 p.m. I think Australian Standard Time maybe. So still, I think your dinner is ready. So I thank you for your wonderful presentation, and we also thank our Sustainability Standard Board Chairman, CMA Dr. Ashish Thatte sir, for always encouraging us to organize this fortnightly webinars. And also I thank Dr. Ranjit Krishnan sir, who is our SSP board member, who has connected with Mukund Shivakumar sir with us. And we also thank our president, vice president, our other council members for always encouraging us to organize more events in this online forum. We thank CMA Dr. Aditi Dasgupta, who is always helping us for this activity. We also thank our IT and CPD team for helping in making connect through a person from Melbourne and India. And we also hopeful that our again we will meet on 3rd of September for our Pariniyati series. This time we are covering the Africa, especially Kenya and Tasmania. This global sustainability approach, and Dr. Ranjit Krishnan sir and Shekhar sir would be taking that session. I hope everybody will join in that session. With this, we thank and good evening to all of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Appreciate the offer.
Thank you.